Now, what is the latest here? Law enforcement saying there have been about 10 of these train heists just in the past year. 9 of them happen to have targeted trains carrying the same cargo, Nike shoes worth millions of dollars.
Okay, so today we're going to be looking at a growing problem that is happening. This one is a particular case in Arizona where people are stealing cargo from the trains. In this case, they are stealing Nike sneakers, and they really also target, like if the train is carrying designer goods, they just target the particular train. I'm pretty sure this must be an inside job because how would they know what's in what train particularly? Now, before I begin, please consider liking, subscribing, and let's see this news clip of what's happening in Arizona with all these train thefts.
Exactly. The details here are just wild, just like the Wild West. You know, I mean, it's 2025, not 1825. This is really happening here in Arizona. We have a map of where these heists are going down. We know of 2 in northwest Arizona in the last couple of months, both really in the middle of nowhere. And that's intentional because the bad guys went to avoid police and witnesses. At least 100 trains roll through Arizona communities every day, oftentimes carrying valuable cargo. And Valley Rail expert Scott Jones says that makes them easy targets.
It's really created a market for a lot of these gang organizations.
He says long trains with miles of cars are especially vulnerable to crime in what's become the Wild West.
They wait till the train gets out into a more desolate, remote area where you have fewer law enforcement and people that could report any type of suspicious activity.
This week, 4 people were indicted after being caught with nearly $50,000 worth of Nike shoes en route to Dick's Sporting Goods stores, all stolen from a BNSF train and hidden near train tracks in the northern Arizona desert. And the frequency of these kinds of robberies is on the rise over the past 2 years.
Just bad people that want to do bad things, and it's a moneymaker for them.
Speaking of Nike sneakers, I've never really bought those Jordans and stuff. I find it ridiculous to stand in line for 6 hours to pay $200 per pair of shoes. I know I'm lame, I suck, but that's just my opinion. I'm never gonna pay like $200 or whatever dollars standing in line for some Nike shoes. But let's continue.
Is organized. Homeland Security says it commonly involves transnational theft groups working throughout the Southwest.
It's well planned, well orchestrated.
Court records reveal how it usually happens. The thieves scout out containers carrying high-dollar goods, and once they find one with items like electronics, tools, and footwear, they hop onto the moving train and break high-security locks with saws and bolt cutters. To complete their heist, the criminals cut the train's brakes and signaling control wires, causing an emergency stop. The crooks decide when and where this happens, looking for places they can remain undetected as they unload the loot and hide it in nearby fields and brush. Those on the train communicate with accomplices and vehicles that act as surveillance. Later, box trucks come pick up the merchandise and often take it to California to be sold online.
I mean, that's quite an extensive planning that they're doing. Like, if they put that much energy on actual working, they will be real billionaires. Like, it's a lot of work to do all that, risking your life. The train can divide you into 2 if you fall in between. But I guess that's what thieves are gonna do. Thieves are gonna steal.
On Amazon or eBay.
How are they doing this? Is there somebody on the inside? I mean, that's a good question. I'd like to think not, but we don't know that.
Okay, so that is, speaking of theft, that is about thefts of sneakers in Arizona. Now, there's a potential that these sneakers are being taken to Chicago because in Chicago, one guy was found with $1 million worth of stolen Nike in a warehouse. Let's see the news from Chicago. You gotta love Chicago. Chicago always gives you the best crime news.
Call it a high-top heist. More than $1 million in stolen sneakers found in a Chicago warehouse.
Our Nate Rogers is live with the stash, and that includes Air Jordans. Nate. Yeah, that's right, Scott and Don Air Jordans for sure. As you just mentioned, this was no ordinary heist. Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart calling this, quote, a widely sophisticated, organized operation. As you just mentioned, more than $1 million in merchandise.
Dude, this guy is freezing to death. He can barely talk, man. Like, let him do the report so he can go home. Like, he's freezing out there. It's Chicago winter. It's cold.
Let's take a look.
We got Nike involved and New Balance, and they were able to do their analysis of it. And this is all legit. There's no knockoffs. This is all real stuff. And as I say, wildly expensive stuff.
This is 26-year-old Eric Luciano Bautista, now facing felony theft charges. And here's all of the alleged stolen merchandise, including thousands of pairs of retro Jordan 3s and 12s, also New Balance gym shoes. The Cook County Sheriff's crime investigators executed a search warrant at a warehouse located at 15th and Western this past Friday. That's when the shoes were recovered. The Sheriff's Office says Luciano Bautista was not an authorized seller. Cook County's crime unit has recovered over $4.5 million in stolen merchandise over the last 9 months. Earlier today, via Zoom, Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart would not disclose where exactly the shoes were stolen from, but he was forthcoming in sharing their store value and even their street value.
I'm no rocket scientist, but if I was to make a wild guess, I would say maybe it was stolen from the trains in Arizona or somewhere else, because do you know how many times you have to steal shoes from a store to get 1 million worth of shoes? You have to go in the store probably 1 million, 1 million times, because you steal a shoe every time, a million times for you to get. That's not even going to be $1 million in shoes. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, $1,000 or what, because you'll end up with the cheap shoes. Anyway, let's go back to the video.
Exactly where this was going to go. A lot of the stuff goes online at times. Other times there's an attempt to resell it at different locations. So we're not 100% sure what the end game was here, but I can tell you that this was all legitimate product that was destined for a store that these folks got, and were, as I said, going to be selling $1 million worth of this stuff. And if you go online, I mean, like a lot of the New Balance stuff that we got, those shoes are sold out anywhere. So the only way you can go is to try to get them online somewhere. And some of them, individual pair of shoes are going for $2,500.
$2,500 for some New Balance shoes. Wow, what country club are they selling these New Balance shoes at? Because that's where I guess they're gonna be wearing it. But wow, that's a lot for shoes. Anyway, that's the news. Let me stop the video there. Enough of my rambling nonsense. If you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and share on all the networks. I will see you next time.
Oh my goodness, all the networks! Wow! All the networks!